Hello, this is Vinny with Resurrect Ministries, and it's kind of late right now, so I got to be kind of quiet. I don't want to wake up everybody in the house, but I want to talk about one of the main reasons that I'm a Christian, and that main reason is the historical accuracy of the New Testament, the historical reliability of the New Testament. This topic can be discussed for hours and hours and hours because there's so much evidence and so many different angles that can be taken, and there's just a ton of stuff about this. So there's going to be more videos on this subject, but this is kind of an outline. So first, how does one determine if historical data is accurate? Well, they can look at the number of manuscripts. Manuscripts are copies of originally recorded historical events. We can look at the intervals in time from when the events actually occurred and the date of the currently existing manuscripts. We look at the unity in the content of the various manuscripts. We look at how the manuscripts differ and how they're similar, and the variance between the manuscripts that we have. So here's some numbers for manuscripts from historical figures that I'm sure you've heard of. Julius Caesar, Roman emperor or Emperor Caesar. We have 10 manuscripts that account for his existence and what he did. For Plato, philosopher, lived before Jesus, I think. We have 7 manuscripts for him. Sophocles, ancient playwright, we've got 100. Aristotle, we got 5. The New Testament has a striking 5,700 manuscripts in its own in its original Greek language. And it has almost 25,000 manuscripts, including the other 15 or so languages. So I admit there are a ton, thousands of textual variations in the New Testament, but there simply isn't enough to make a dispute on doctrines of the Christian faith. Most of them are errors of misspelling from fatigue that really makes no difference. It makes sense if you're writing a whole Bible sitting there for 20 hours, writing and writing and writing. You're going to make errors. Only about 1% of the variants in the manuscripts cause trouble in the meaning of the text, but no doctrines are at risk. Yeah, so it's really no problem. We know what the original manuscripts are. Well, we know what the original said. Yeah, we can infer from the different texts that we have. We know what they said, no question. Okay, so back to the intervals of time, which I mentioned before. The study of the intervals of time is of grave importance when determining history. The highest quality manuscripts that we have for most Greek classical authors were written at least 1,000 years or more after the time of the event or person. The intervals for the records of Caesar is 1,000 years, and for Plato 1,300 years. Whew, that's a long time. And when discussed among scholarly circles, history books too, and literature books, our records for these people are considered accurate and concrete. We are confident with this slim evidence. Now, for the New Testament, which really just blows this out of the water. Two of the most important manuscripts, codexes, were written within 300 years after the New Testament was completed. Codex Vaticanus, which is in the Vatican Library, and Codex Sinaiticus, which is in the British Museum. They have nearly the entire New Testament. 300 years compared to 1,000 and 1,300 years. Whew. Yeah. We also have fragments of John that were written actually just 50 years after the originals, or the original letter or Gospel of John was written. Just 50 years. We've got little slivers of them. So really, any historian worth his degree is blown away at this fact and cannot deny the accuracy of the New Testament. Now, consider the claims of the Bible, the miracles, the resurrection. If they're all factual or historically correct, then that is pretty solid proof for the Christian faith. So, yeah, thanks for watching the video.